So yeah, guys, once again, welcome. Appreciate you taking the time. Basically, what I'm going to try to do today is walk through the Collision Customer Experience Playbook. Obviously, this is not about how to fix a car. You guys already know how to do that better than I ever could. This is about everything around the repair, the call, the estimate, the wait, the handoff, all the moments that the customer actually feels. So in some ways, we're going to be talking more about feelings than anything else today, because honestly, this is where a lot of shops miss it. Your customer, they really can't grade you on your body work unless it's just horrible. They really probably mostly are grading you on how the whole thing, the whole experience felt to them. And that honestly is going to help them decide whether they come back or whether they refer somebody to you. So over the next little, hopefully about an hour or less, we're going to walk through the entire customer journey from start to finish and find specific spots where good shops are quietly losing people they already earned. So, three things that I want you to be able to leave with today. I want you to win more estimates that come in. I want you to keep the trust the whole way through the repair experience. And obviously, as well, earn the referral at the end. So feel free to grab some notes or grab a piece of paper to take some notes with, and we're going to get into this more. So let me start with the question that this whole session is built around. Where are you losing customers? And I want to be clear about what I do not mean. I do not mean that you are losing them on the work. You are good at the work. That typically is not the problem. You tend to lose them in the moments around the repair. Let's say somebody calls after an accident, they're shook up, they're emotional, and it goes to voicemail. So they call the next shop. Or somebody comes in for an estimate and they never hear back. So obviously they go somewhere else. Or somebody has their car for 2 weeks and they hear nothing. So even though the repair may be perfect at the end, they still leave feeling like they didn't matter. And every one of those is a customer you've already earned. They found you, they reached out, but you lost them in the experience, not in the actual repair. So as we go through today, try to hold your own shop up against each of these moments. Let's be honest about where yours might be leaking, because that is the spot quietly costing you the most. And it is usually the easiest thing to fix, to work on fixing. So, real quick, just a few housekeeping notes before we dig in. First, this is built for you to apply, not just to watch. So, the whole way through, please hold everything up against your own shop. When something lands, that's your cue to pay attention, because this is probably where the opportunity lies. Second, keep something nearby to take notes. You don't need to write down everything about every slide. Just jot down that one or two things that you want to take away and you want to work at fixing when you get back into the shop. If you leave with, like, let's say 2 changes you actually make, this is totally worth your time. And third, here's the path we're taking. We're going to walk the entire customer journey from the moment someone has an accident and start searching all the way through to the follow-up after they pick up their car. So every step we're looking at for where shops lose people. That's it. Let's get into it. So just a little bit about who I am. I grew up in the collision repair industry. I grew up around cars. I spent many years managing the family collision repair shop. So I know exactly how it is for you guys to stand at the counter to answer the phone calls of those stressed out customers. And I'm also the founder of Body Shop Marketing. So today we work with collision shops all across the US, and you see patterns showing up. So everything I'm going to show you today comes from either my own experiences or from what I see happening and what I realize is going on in the industry. And if you want to dig into this more, feel free to book a one-on-one with me. You can just scan that QR code there. I will also show that at the end of the session. So let's start with why this matters at all. Why spend a whole session on experience instead of just doing good work and moving on? So here's the thing most shops never put a number to. Every customer who has a bad experience does not just cost you that one job. They cost you every job that customer would have sent to you, the repeat visit, the spouse's car, the three neighbors that they talked to or could have potentially referred, all of it gone because of that one rough experience they never told you about. They just quietly went somewhere else. And winning a brand new customer to replace them is much more expensive. You're paying for ads, you're paying for marketing, for all of it just to get back to where you already were. Meanwhile, the customer you already earned, the one who already trusted you, would have come back for basically nothing. And that's the hidden cost. It doesn't show up on an invoice, and it's easy to ignore because you never see the jobs you did not get. But this is real and it adds up very quickly. Now, I want to say something that might sting a little, and I mean it with respect. Your great work is not what gets you chosen. Think about it from the customer side. They can't tell a perfect weld from an okay one. They don't know if the frame is within spec. They will never see 90% of what you actually did to their car, all that skill, all that craftsmanship, and most of it's invisible to the person that's paying for it. So, what do they judge us on then? The stuff on the right. Did somebody keep them in the loop? Or did they have to chase you? Did I feel like a person or a work order? Was my car actually ready when you said it would be? That is what they can feel. So that is what they grade. So here's the hard part. You can do a flawless repair and still lose that customer because the experience around it left them feeling cold. The work gets you considered, the experience gets you chosen. And that gap right there is what the rest of the session is about closing. So if we're going to find where we're losing customers, we need a map. And every collision job, no matter the shop, runs through these same 7 moments. It starts with the search. Someone has an accident and starts looking. Then the first call, where they reach out and they get that first impression. Then the estimate, where they decide if you're easy to work with. Then drop off, where the expectations get set or they do not get set. Then the repair updates, the stretch where most trust is won or lost. Then delivery, the moment they remember most. And finally, the follow up, which almost nobody does well. So we have these 7 moments, these 7 touch points. And here's what I want you to notice. Every single one of them is a place you can win the customer or quietly lose them. Not on the repair, but on the experience at that step. We're going to walk through all 7 one at a time. And I would bet that by the time we're done, 1 or 2 of these are going to jump out as a weak spot in your own shop. So let's keep this map in our heads as we go, because at the end, we're going to come back to it and have you grade yourself. I said a minute ago, but it's worth slowing down because everything else builds on it. Your customer's not a technician. They can't look at their car and know whether you did it right. So they don't judge the thing they can't understand. They judge you on the thing they can. And what can they understand? Whether you explain things in plain language, whether the place felt organized, whether you seemed confident, calm, whether the timelines made sense. That is the stuff they can actually follow. So that is what becomes their whole opinion of your shop. So this is why 2 shops can do exactly the same quality repair and get completely different reviews. One kept the customer oriented the whole way through, so it felt smooth, it felt professional. The other did great work in silence. So it felt confusing, it felt stressful. Same repair, totally different experience. And the customer only ever talks about the experience. So as we go through each step today, keep asking this one question. At this moment, does the customer understand what is happening? Because where they lose the thread is exactly where they lose trust. So let's start right at the beginning of the journey, before your phone ever rings. Somebody just got in an accident. They're stressed. They don't know who to trust. And they do what all of us do now. They pull out their phone and they start searching. And in about 30 seconds, they run a little validation process without even thinking about it. First, they search. and they see whose shops show up. Then they scan, and this is the big one. They go straight to your reviews and your star ratings. And that number is the first real judgment they make about you. Then they start comparing, usually 2 or 3 shops. And then they decide and they call the one that feels the safest to this nervous person that's maybe never been in an accident. They don't know how this goes. But here's what I want you to sit with. All of that happens before you have any idea they even exist. You're being interviewed and you're not in the room. By the time they call, they've already passed. Sorry, by the time they call, you have already passed or failed that first test. So the question becomes, when a stressed customer runs that 30-second check on your shop, are you the one that looks safe, or are you the one that they scroll past? Now, let's turn that around and point it at your shop, because it's easy to nod along about some other business, but this is about yours. I want you to actually do this right now if you can. Pull out your phone, search your own shop, like you're a customer who has just got in a wreck and has never heard of you. Look at exactly what you see. Start with your rating. Let's be honest. Does that number make a scared person feel safe, or does it make them hesitate? Look at your photos. Do they show real work, a real team, a real shop? Or is it stock photos, empty parking lot that tells them nothing? Then the basics. Can they find your hours, your address, your phone number in about 3 seconds, or do they have to dig for this? So here's the test. If you would hesitate to call your own shop based on what you're looking at, so will they. And this is the good news, because almost everything on this screen is fixable. This is usually the easiest place to stop the leak, and most shops have never actually looked at this. All right, first row action item, and you can go fix this one tomorrow. Once a customer decides you look safe, they want to know 2 things. What's it going to cost, and how do I get started? And this is where a lot of shops accidentally put up a wall, usually without even realizing it. And here's the big one. If the only way to get an estimate at your shop is to drive in and wait, you're asking for a stressed person to rearrange their day before you can even talk numbers. And some of them will. A lot of them will just call the shop down the road that made it easier. So maybe think about an online photo estimate tool where you can text them or email them. They can take a few pictures of the damage and you can get back to them. So they have no time off work, no sitting in your lobby, no friction. For the customer, this feels really effortless. And for you, it's a faster way to qualify jobs and get the right ones scheduled. But more broadly, give people more than one way to reach you. Some want to call, a lot would rather text or fill out a quick form. When you only offer one door, you lose everyone else who doesn't want to walk through that door. So the easier you make the ask, the more estimates you're going to get. All right, here's a simple way to find hidden friction in your shop. I call it the friction test, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You count the steps. Every step a customer has to take between I need help and I actually reached a person is a chance for them to give up and call someone else. And most shops have no idea how many steps they're making people take because they've never counted. So let's go ahead and count them for your shop. How many clicks does it take to even find your phone number? If it's buried, that's friction. How many rings before a human picks up? And what happens if nobody does? If it goes to voicemail, a lot of stressed customers, they just hang up and dial the next shop. And when someone fills out your estimate form or they send photos, how long before they hear back from you? An hour feels responsive and quick. A day later, highly likely they've already booked somewhere else. So the goal is to get every one of those numbers as low as you possibly can. Fewer clicks, fewer rings, faster replies, because every number you bring down is a customer you stop losing. So go run this test on your shop. And I think a couple of these things are probably going to surprise you. Let's move to the next stop on the journey, the first phone call. And I want you to really picture who was on the other end of that line. This is a person who was in an accident, maybe an hour ago, maybe 10 minutes ago, maybe 5 hours ago. They're shaken up, or maybe they're embarrassed. They've never done this before, and so they don't even know the right questions to ask. They're not sitting there with a checklist comparing your labor rates to the shop down the street. Not yet. They're listening for one thing. Am I in good hands? That's it. Everything in those first few seconds, your tone, whether someone actually picked up, how calm, how steady you sound, that is what tells them the answer. So the way that that call gets handled matters more than almost anything else in this whole process. A warm, calm, confident voice can lock in a customer before anything else gets discussed. Or a rushed, annoyed one, or a voicemail can lose them before you've ever had a chance. They'll forget basically everything else, but they will not forget how you made them feel when they were emotional, when they were scared. So, if that's who's on the phone, here's a shift that changes everything. Let's care for the person before you deal with the car. Many shops, and this is not to knock them, it's just habit. They jump straight into logistics. What's the year and make? What's your insurance? Did you make a claim? When can you bring it in? All this necessary stuff. But the customer is not in logistics mode yet. They still are rattled. And when you lead with paperwork, that feels very cold, like they're already just another work order. The shops that win this moment do something small first. They slow down. They lower their voice a little. They say something like, "That sounds really stressful. I'm glad you called. We're going to take care of you." It's 10 seconds. And in those 10 seconds, the customer's shoulders come down because someone finally treated them like a person. Then you can go and get into all the details, but now you're getting them from someone who already trusts you instead of someone who is still deciding if they should. Let's fix the person's stress first, and then let's fix the car. Now I want to head off a mistake that some shops make. They turn empathy into a script. They write out the right warm greeting. They tape it to the phone, they tape it to their monitors, and have everyone read it word for word. And unfortunately, this backfires because customers can hear a script. Let's look at the difference. On the left, in the scripted version, "Thank you for calling. How can I help you today?" There's nothing wrong with those words, but said the same way to every caller, it's going to land flat. It sounds like a person reading, not a person listening. On the right-hand side, we have empathy. "That sounds stressful. Let's get you taken care of." The reason that works is not the exact words. Again, it is that the person actually heard the customer and responded to them, their situation, that specific caller. It is present. You could say it 100 different ways and it would still land because it's real. So, this is not about giving your team a new script to memorize. It's about getting them to actually listen for a second before they respond. You can't fake that, and you don't need to. You just have to mean it. All right, here's your next action item. And it's maybe the most eye-opening one in this whole session. Mystery call your own shop. Here's the problem. You've never actually heard what your customers hear. You've never been on the other end of your own phone as a nervous stranger. You hear your team from across the shop, you hear them in the office when they know you're listening, and that's not the real thing. So sometime have someone do it for you, maybe a friend, your spouse, someone the team won't recognize. Have them call in as a brand new customer who just got in an accident and then just listen back, or have them tell you exactly how it went. How did the greeting sound? Was the tone warm? Was it rushed? How long did it take before a real person picked up? And what happened if nobody did? Did they get the voicemail? Then ask your friend the only question that matters. Based on that call, would you trust our shop with your car? Their gut answer tells you more than any report ever could. It's free. It takes a few minutes, and I promise you, you'll learn something because you can't fix what you've actually never heard. Now we're at drop off. And this is the one of the most underrated moments in this whole journey, because whatever expectations you set right here or fail to set shape everything that happens for the rest of the repair. Most drop offs are quick, keys, signature, will call you, and then the customer drives off with unanswered questions. How long is this going to take? When will I hear from you? Who do I even call if I have a question? They don't know. And so they start filling in these blanks, usually with worry. So just take 5 minutes and get ahead of this. First, confirm what you're doing and why in plain language so they feel informed and not talked down to. Second, give them a realistic target date, not the hopeful best case that makes them happy today, but angry Friday, a date you can actually hit. Third, and this is the big one, tell them exactly how and when you will keep them updated. I'll text you an update every couple of days, or the second anything changes, you'll hear from me. 5 clear minutes here saves you 10 anxious phone calls, the ones where they're chasing you because nobody told them what to expect. I want to come back to something because it shows up strong right here at drop off and through the repair. Customers trust what they understand. The flip side is the part that costs you. And this is where confusion feels like risk. And here's what I mean. When a customer does not understand what is happening to their car, they don't sit there feeling neutral about it. Silence and confusion do not feel like nothing. They feel like something is wrong. And the mind starts filling these gaps with the worst case scenario. Why is it taking so long? Did they find something else? Are they trying to make my bill higher? None of that might be true, but you left a gap and they filled it in. So the fix is not to explain every technical detail, but it's just to keep them oriented. They do not need to understand the whole repair. They need to understand the process, where their car is, what's next, and roughly when, and keep those three things clear. And the anxiety never gets that foothold. So the rule is pretty simple. Explain it like you would to your own mother, not dumbed down, just clear, calm, and free of industry jargon. When people understand what's happening, they relax. And a relaxed customer is a customer who trusts you. This one's small, but it saves you a world of pain, and it comes straight out of that drop off conversation. There's a big difference between a target date and a promise. And most shops are making promises without probably even meaning to. Let's look at the left. It'll be done Friday. That sounds really helpful. It sounds confident, but you just made a promise that you might not fully control. Parts get delayed, insurance drags, you find more damage once you do the disassembly. Now Friday rolls around, the car is not ready, and the customer's mind, you didn't hit a snag, you lied to them. And that's the word they use. And once they think you lied once, they question everything else. Now look at the right. We're aiming for Friday, and I'll tell you the moment that changes. We have the same target date, but a completely different setup. You've told them the truth. This is the plan, and plans can move. So if it does move, you're not breaking a promise. You're just doing exactly what you said you would do, keeping them posted. The delay becomes proof that you're reliable instead of proof that you're not. So it's the same information. One framing protects you, the one sets you up to fail. So never hand a customer a date you can't fully control without framing it as a target. Now, we're into the repair itself. And this is the longest stretch of the whole journey and the place where more trust gets lost than anywhere else. And it's almost never the work that loses it. It's the silence. So here's what you need to understand. When you go quiet, the customer does not experience that as nothing. They fill that silence with a story, and typically it's never a good one. Let's just walk through this a little bit. So day one, they're fine. They just got the car. They're probably working on it. Day three, a little itch. I figured I've heard something from them by now. Day five, it turns. Did they forget about my car? Is something wrong? And by the end of the week, if they still have not heard from you, that story has hardened into this place doesn't care. I'm never coming back. Meanwhile, your text may have been doing a beautiful job the whole time, but it doesn't matter. The customer never saw the work. They only lived inside of that silence. So that's a trap. You did not do anything wrong on the car. You just did not say anything, and the customer wrote their own story, their own ending, which sets up exactly what we're going to cover next. So if silence is the trap, here's the rule that keeps you out of it. Never make the customer wonder ever. The moment a customer is sitting there wondering where their car is, wondering if you forgot them, wondering why it's taking so long, you've already lost ground, because wondering is not neutral. A customer who is left guessing is a customer who's quietly holding a case against you, whether they mean it or not. Every hour of silence just adds another brick to their story. And here's the part that should make this feel doable instead of overwhelming. You don't need to fix this with some big system or expensive software. You can fix it by making sure the customer never has to ask themselves those questions in the first place, because you already answered them. Where's my car? You told me. What is happening? You told me. When will it be done? You told me that too. That's the whole job during the repair. Stay one step ahead of their questions so the wondering never even starts. If they never have to wonder, they never start building that case, and the trust you earned on day one is still there on pickup day. Now, here's an objection. But what if there's nothing to tell them? I'm not going to call a customer just to say nothing happened. And I get that. It feels pointless. But this is exactly where shops tend to get it wrong. No update is still an update. Think about it from the customer side. To you, nothing new happened today feels like a non-event and not worth calling about. To the customer, hearing from you, even just to say things are on track, is a difference between feeling taken care of and feeling forgotten. They do not need news. They just need to know you have not lost track of them and their car. So you send this 10-second version. Hey, just wanted to let you know your car is still on track for Friday. Nothing new to report. I'll reach out to you if anything changes. And that's it. You don't have to have anything else to say. And you still just brought yourself a week of goodwill. And the customer reads that and thinks, good, they're on it. They're thinking about me. Compare that to just a whole week of silence, which we just saw the customer reads as that they've forgotten about me. So we've got the same week, same amount of actual repair news, which is none. One version builds trust and the other quietly destroys it. So a quick nothing beats a long silence every single time. So by now you're probably thinking, okay, I get it. Communicate, but how much? Am I supposed to call these people every day? Where's the line between being attentive and being annoying? Here's my answer. And I'm sure there's some variation here. It's probably more than you think and also less than you fear. Most shops undercommunicate. So your instinct that you might be bugging them is usually wrong, but you also do not need to call every few hours. There's a rhythm that works. And I would say it's only a few touch points. Start at drop off, confirm the plan. That's your first touch. Then one quick midway update. Just here's where we are. We're still on track. Then, and this is the non-negotiable one, the moment anything changes, they hear from you right away before they have a chance to wander. And then, of course, one more before pickup. Hey, the car's ready. Here's what to expect when to come in. That's it. For a normal repair, that's good enough. But notice what this does. The customer never has to chase you because you always got there first. And that's the whole target. The right amount of communication is simply enough that they never have to ask. Let's hit that, and you will feel like the most on top of it shop they have ever dealt with on just a handful of quick either phone calls or text messages. All right, let's talk a little bit about that moment that we're all dreading when something goes wrong. The parts are back ordered, you found hidden damage, the insurance is dragging out. The repair is not going to be done when you said. How you handle this moment can either wreck the relationship or make it stronger. So, first of all, call early. The instant you know, they should know. Don't sit on it hoping it goes away. Don't wait until Friday to admit Friday is not happening. Bad news does not age well. The longer you hold it, the more it feels like you're hiding it. And now you have two problems: the delay and the fact that you sat on it. Second, tell them what changed and why. Not a wall of excuses, just the honest, simple version. We got in there, we found more damage, and we would rather fix it right than rush it. Customers can handle the truth, but what they can't handle is feeling managed. Third, give them a new date you can actually hit and tell them what you're doing about it. That turns you into the bearer of bad news, into the person that's actually taking control of the situation. So here's the thing: customers forgive delays all the time. What they don't forgive is being blindsided. Handle this moment with honesty, with speed, and a lot of them will actually trust you more because they saw how you handled when things go sideways. And as you know, a lot of what goes wrong in a repair is genuinely not your fault. The parts are back ordered, the insurance company's sitting on the approval, the rental car company's messed up. All of these are true. They're all outside of your control. And so our natural instinct to say is, hey, that's on them, not us. But here's the reality: the customer doesn't care whose fault it is. They don't have a relationship with your parts vendor or your the insurance adjusters. They have a relationship with you. And you're the face of this entire experience, whether it's fair or not. So when any part of it goes sideways in their mind, it's the shop, it's you. And you can either fight that and keep pointing fingers up the chain, and you'll be right, but you'll still lose the customer. Or you can own the whole experience, not the blame, the experience. I know the insurance is slow. That's frustrating. Here's what I'm doing to push it along, and here's what to expect. You did not cause the problem, but you took ownership of getting them through it. So when you own the experience, you own the relationship. And the shops that duck this responsibility, the second it's not technically their fault, are the ones that lose customers over things they did not even do. All right. So the last slide was about things that are not our fault. Now, let's talk about when it actually is. Your estimator missed something. A repair was not done right. Something got scratched. It happens. And pretending it does not is not a plan. What matters is what you do next, because how you recover matters more than the mistake itself. So first of all, own it fast. The second you own it, you get in front of it. No excuses, no shifting blame to a tech, no downplaying it. Just, you're right, we missed this, I'm going to make it right. Customers, they can smell a shop trying to wiggle out of something, and that does more damage than the original mistake ever did. Second, tell them exactly how you're going to fix it, not just some vague reassurance, but a real plan. We're going to bring it back in on Thursday. We're going to redo this, and we're going to have it back to you by the end of the day. Those specifics rebuild that confidence. And third, fix it. And then go one step further. Maybe detail the car, cover the rental, take a little bit off, something that says that you did not just correct the error, but you actually cared that it happened and you're ready to go that second mile. So here's the part that surprises people: a mistake handled well can actually earn you more loyalty than a job that went perfectly, because the customer just watched you under pressure and saw that you're honest, you stand behind your work. That is worth more than a flawless repair they forget about in months. All right, now we're at delivery, and I want you to give this moment the weight it deserves, because of every step in the journey, this is the one the customer remembers most vividly. This is the story they tell their friends, and a lot of shops tend to rush it. Let's just think about the typical pickup that could happen. Customer comes in, somebody grabs the keys, slides the paperwork across the counter. Here you go. You're all set. 30 seconds, transactional, done. After everything, that is the note you end on. This is such a wasted moment. Just picture the version that lands. The car is clean, inside and out, not just repaired, but detailed. So their first look is wow. You walk them out to it. You take a minute to show them what you did so they can actually see the value of the work they can't fully understand. And you end on something human. It was a pleasure taking care of you in your car. We're glad you trusted us. Not just a receipt and a sign here. That whole thing takes you maybe 5-10 minutes, but those minutes are the last thing they feel. And the last thing is what sticks. It's a difference between a customer who thinks they fixed my car and one who thinks, I got to tell people about this place. The finish is where referrals are born. I want to just pull back for a second and name a pattern, because once you see it, you can't unsee it, even in your own shop. Most shops, they start out warm, but they finish transactional. Think about where all the energy goes. The beginning, that first call, the estimate, winning the job. Everybody's on. The customer feels courted. They feel taken care of. They feel important. But then somewhere in the middle, it starts cooling off. And by pickup, it's gone completely flat. Keys, paperwork, you're all set. Goodbye. The customer who felt like a VIP on day one gets processed like a transaction on the way out. And here's why this is such a costly mistake. People remember beginnings and endings far more than the middle. You can nail the opening, but if you kind of limp across the finish line and that's the taste they leave with, the ending is what sticks. It's what they're feeling when they decide whether to leave a review, whether to come back, whether to send their brother. So put real intention into the finish. Match the energy you brought to winning them in the first place, because a warm start and a flat ending gets you a fine review and a customer who forgets you. A warm start, strong finish, that gets you a referral. Land that finish and you land the next customer before they even had their accident. All right, here's the last stop on the journey, and it's the one that almost nobody does, the follow-up. The car's gone, the job's closed, most shops just move on, and they leave the single easiest relationship builder in the whole process sitting right there on the table. A few days after pickup, reach out, a quick phone call, a quick text message, and here's the key. Make it genuinely about them, not about you. Ask how the car is driving, ask how everything's going, if they have any questions, if anything needs a second look. That's it. You're not selling, you're not asking for anything. You're just a shop that cared enough to check in after the money has already been exchanged hands, everything's done. But you know how rare that is? Almost no one does it. So when you do, you stand out. The customer thinks, they called just to make sure I'm happy. Nobody does that. That's one small touch can turn a one-time repair into a customer for life. The person who comes back and sends everyone they know. And notice what I didn't say. I did not say ask for a review, not yet. That's on the next slide, and the order matters more than you might think. So this builds right on the follow-up, and that's where a lot of shops shoot themselves in the foot. They might blast every customer with a review request the second the job closes. So no matter how that customer actually feels, and this is a mistake. You want to check satisfaction before you ask for a review. And here's the logic. Your follow-up already asked the real question. How's everything going? Are you happy with the car? Let their answer decide what happens next. If they're happy, great. Now's the moment. Strike while that good feeling is fresh and makes it easy as humanly possible. One tap, direct link, no hunting around. Happy customer plus an easy ask is how you get the 5-star reviews that feed everything back at the top of this journey. Remember, reviews are the first thing the next customer is going to be scanning. But if they're not happy, obviously do not ask for a review. You find out something's wrong, you fix that first. You solve the problem, you make it right. And obviously the review conversation can come later once they're satisfied. Asking an unhappy customer for a review is obviously going hunting for a 1-star review. So we're not just hunting for reviews, you're earning the answer before you ask that question. The happy customers get the easy ask, unhappy customers get a fix. And that's how you build a review profile that actually reflects how good your shop is. All right, we've walked the entire journey, and here's where it all pays off. Great experiences create referrals, and referrals are the best business you'll ever get. Let me draw the line clearly. A great repair on its own gets a thank you. The customer's satisfied, they pay, they leave, and that's the end of it. Nice, but it stops there. A great experience is different. A great experience gets you a name and a phone number because the customer can't help but tell other people, you got to check out this shop. They were incredible. That's the whole game. And think about who walks in from a referral. They already trust you before you have to say a word because someone they believe vouched for you. They don't shop you against other shops. They argue less about the price. And when their repair goes well, they turn around and refer someone else, and it just compounds from there. That's why we've spent this whole session on the experience rather than on the repair. The repair is the price of entry. That's the table stakes. Everybody in your market can fix a car. The experience is what turns one customer into 5. And every one of those moments we walked through, the call, the updates, the delivery, they're not just customer service niceties. They are the machine that helps to fill your shop with people who already trust you. The experience you build today is the pipeline you're filling tomorrow. All right. This is where it becomes about your shop and not just a general idea. We're going to take everything we walk through and turn it into a quick audit you can run on your own operation. 7 moments, and I want you to grade each one honestly. Go through them one at a time. The search. When a stressed customer finds you, do you look safe and easy to trust? Second, the first call. Does someone warm pick up fast or does it go to voicemail? Third, the estimate. Is it genuinely easy to get one, or do you make people jump through a bunch of hoops? Fourth, drop off. Do you set clear expectations, or do you send them off guessing? 5, updates. Does the customer hear from you on a rhythm, or do you just go silent for a week? And 6, delivery. Is it a real moment, or is it a rushed handoff at the front counter? And 7, the follow-up. Does this happen? Be honest, and I mean be brutally honest, because a generous grade does not help you. Give each one of these a gut score. And here's the whole point of the exercise. Your lowest score is not just a weak spot. It's where your next customer is leaking out of the side of the building. That one moment is costing you more than all the others combined. And it's where you should put your attention first. You don't have to fix all 7. You just have to find your worst one and fix that. All right, we opened with this exact question, and I told you we'd come back to it. Where are you losing customers? The difference is now you have a map to answer it. And I hope the big shift has landed by now. It's rarely the repair. You're good at the repair. It's the call that went to voicemail while somebody was sitting there scared. It's a silent week where they decided you forgot about them. It's the rushed handoff that turned a great job into a forgettable one. Those are the leaks, not the work. It's the moments around the work. And here's what I want you to do. I do not want you to walk out of here trying to overhaul all 7 stages at once. That's how people get overwhelmed and change nothing. Instead, go back to that audit, find your single weakest moment, the lowest score, and tackle that one first. Just that one. And that's where you're going to be losing the most. So that is where the biggest win is hiding. Take your weakest moments, fix it, and you'll start feeling that difference in your shop faster than you would think. Just one moment and start there. Let's make this like dead simple to act on. If the full audit feels like a lot, Here are some of the easy wins. Every one of these you can start this week, and not one of them costs you $1. It's all just how you handle the moments you're already in. Answer the phone like the person on the other end is stressed, because they probably are. That one shift in tone, that warm and calm instead of rushed, wins jobs before anything else gets discussed. Give a target date, never a promise. So a delay becomes an update instead of a broken commitment or a broken promise. Send one update before they ask, just one, so that customer never slips into like a silent week where they decide you've forgotten all about them. And just slow your pickup down. Add 5-10 minutes to the handoff, because that's a moment they're going to remember and the story they tell. None of these need a new system. They don't need any new software or a bigger budget. They're all free. They're just intention. Pick just one or two and put them in place, and you'll start plugging off those leaks that we talked about. Small changes, real difference starting now. So that's a playbook. And if I could boil down the whole thing into one line, it's this: make it easy to choose you, easy to trust you, and easy to recommend you. Get those three right, and the repairs, they take care of themselves.